Molly McLaren was a young, ambitious girl who aspired to build a happy future despite the challenges that came her way. She never expected that one ill-fated Tinder date would turn into a real nightmare for her. As a 23-year-old student at the University of Kent, Molly could always count on the support of her loved ones and friends. This helped shape her as an individual, achieve success in her studies, and be popular on social media. The girl dreamed of becoming a famous personal trainer and making a positive impact in the fitness world. Despite battling eating disorders and anxiety in her teenage years, Molly made every effort to overcome these issues. Health, both physical and mental, was a top priority for her. She sought to inspire others who found themselves in similar situations through her example, sharing knowledge and resources with those struggling with eating disorders. Family and friends always described Molly as a source of optimism, joy, and kindness. She seemed to radiate warmth and light to everyone she interacted with. The tragic events that befell the girl unfolded in Kent, a region popular among tourists and one of the wealthiest counties in Great Britain. The picturesque landscapes and enchanting nature earned the city the reputation of being the Garden of England. As a student, Molly was an active user of Tinder, the most popular dating app among single people, which allowed for quick and easy new connections. And although the girl previously never had relationships that lasted more than 6 months, in June 2016, this trend changed. While scrolling through profiles of potential partners, Molly came across 25-year-old warehouse worker Joshua Stimpson, whose stunning eyes immediately caught her attention. There was an instant attraction between them, and they began sharing details about their lives. Joshua admitted that he had been struggling with a mental illness, bipolar disorder, his entire life. In response, Molly opened up about her own issues with anxiety and eating behavior. Upon learning about the ordeals the young man had gone through, the girl felt an overwhelming desire to support him. After all, her calling was to help people like him, and the attraction that had arisen between them was too strong to ignore. It seemed to Molly that she and Joshua had known each other for a lifetime. So she suggested to him that they pretend to have known each other much longer than just a few days. The young couple began actively communicating on social media, and after a few months, in November, they finally had their first date. At that point, the passion between them flared up with renewed vigor. When Molly introduced Joshua to her parents, they did not welcome him as warmly as she had hoped. The girl's mother sensed a threat emanating from the young man. The fact that he suffered from bipolar disorder frightened Molly's mother, as she did not want her daughter to find herself in the same depressed state she had once experienced. But despite everything, her mom supported Molly's decision, considering her mature enough for a serious relationship. The lovers could not bear to be apart for more than a few days. It seemed there were genuine, sincere feelings between them. But this idyll lasted only until the end of the honeymoon phase. It was time to at least partially return to reality. Molly saw her future together with Joshua, considering him an important part of her life, but unfortunately, the young man did not share this vision of their budding relationship. Gradually, Joshua became more and more controlling, constantly wanting to know where Molly was, where she was going, and what she was doing. His obsession with the girl reached such a level that he quit his job to spend every free moment with his beloved. Even when Molly was busy with her studies and did not want to see Joshua, he still showed up, causing her to become disillusioned with what their relationship had become. The girl had barely managed to stabilize her mental and physical state after struggling with disorders, and now she sought to keep everything under control on her own, rather than being controlled by her boyfriend. At the same time, Molly understood how fragile Joshua's psyche was, so she did not dare to break off the relationship, despite her inner turmoil. In early 2017, their relationship began to crack. Molly found out that Joshua had been secretly photographing and filming her, which made her feel exposed and completely deprived of control over her own body. The confused girl turned to her mother for advice. Later, recalling that situation, Molly would recount that throughout all the altercations, Joshua remained incredibly impassive. He felt no remorse for the photos and videos he had taken and did not even believe he had done anything wrong. That same year, Molly finally mustered the courage to break up with Joshua, but he did not accept it. The young man began to stalk her, constantly calling, sending messages, and even showing up at her work unannounced. It seemed to Molly that she would never be able to get rid of him, and this made the girl fear for her life. On June 7, 2017, Molly went to Kent's gym in Chatham, Kent. She had just finished her shift at the clinic and decided to work out before heading home. When the girl entered the gym, Joshua was already waiting for her inside. Molly instantly texted her mother, informing her that Joshua had come to the gym and that she was alone with him. In response, her mother immediately called her daughter and ordered her to urgently grab her things and leave without looking back. Molly did just that. She quickly gathered her belongings and headed to her car. On the way, the girl texted her friends, complaining that she now constantly had to look over her shoulder. Unfortunately, this message would be Molly's last. Upon arriving at the parking lot near the gym, Kent police saw a scene resembling one from a horror movie. Numerous passers-by had witnessed the brutal attack on Molly. The driver's side door was open, and 75 stab wounds were counted on the girl's body. Benjamin Morton was the one who called the police. He tried to stop the attacker and prevent him from fleeing the crime scene. The man kicked the assailant in the car door and attempted to pull him away from Molly. But the madman's attack could not be stopped. When the police arrived at the scene, the attacker suddenly moved towards them. Completely calm, he wiped the bloody splatters from his face and asked the officers, "Did you want to see me?" To the horror of the police, the attacker turned out to be the same man they had received a call about earlier that month. It was Joshua Stimpson. Morton tried to bring Molly back to consciousness after the terrible attack, but to no avail. It was officially announced that the girl's life had ended at 11:40 a.m. due to a neck injury. Joshua's arrest did not require extraordinary efforts from the police. The man confessed to the crime he had committed but emphasized that he had acted unintentionally. According to him, he was so depressed by the rejection from the girl that he decided to cope with this pain in the only way he knew, by taking Molly's life. The trial of Joshua began in early 2018. He steadfastly adhered to his version of events, and his defense claimed the same. The lawyers insisted that the man had been unable to cope with his emotional pain, and such a radical way of solving the problem was dictated by his mental disorders. They claimed that Joshua had been significantly affected by his parents' divorce and his mother's subsequent abandonment. Throughout his life, he had repeatedly undergone treatment in psychiatric clinics, trying to overcome his excessive sensitivity to rejection, and in the opinion of the defense, a personality disorder. With these statements, the defense sought to prove that Joshua did not possess sufficient mental capacity to plan the crime, and his actions went beyond normal cognitive functionality. However, the prosecution was able to provide compelling counterarguments. Prosecutors presented footage from surveillance cameras confirming that Joshua had purchased the knife used to kill Molly just a few days before the crime. Moreover, if Joshua had been so exhausted by the pain of rejection, why had he waited several weeks before committing this terrible act? Nothing about this attack indicated a lack of self-control or impulsiveness of actions. However, the defense's arguments regarding Joshua's mental state remained an important factor that needed to be taken into account. Therefore, the prosecution involved a psychiatrist to assess Joshua's condition. According to him, there was no evidence that the defendant suffered from a personality disorder or any other mental defects. Instead, the expert suggested that Joshua had narcissistic traits and showed absolutely no remorse for the crime he had committed. At the time of the closing arguments, it still remained unclear which side had the upper hand. Molly's mother and other family members were probably in a state of anxiety. Only after 3 hours of deliberation did the jury finally announce the verdict, and Molly's family and friends breathed a sigh of relief. Joshua Stimpson was found guilty of the intentional brutal attack on Molly McLaren. Judge Adela Williams sentenced Joshua to at least 26 years in prison, noting that he was a very dangerous person and women would not be safe as long as he was at large. She expressed hope that Joshua would never be released after what he had done to Molly, her family, and her future. Molly's family released an official statement thanking the eyewitnesses for their courage and attempts to save the girl's life. Regarding the trial, they noted that the verdict brought them some relief. But now they would always feel the loss, and although Molly's light had gone out, the memory of her would continue to warm their hearts. After the trial, Molly's family established a charitable foundation in her name. This organization was designed to bring to life the girl's dreams, which had been cut short too soon. Every year, the foundation holds a large-scale event filled with games, delicious food, and fun. The funds raised are used to support charitable organizations that help people with eating disorders. Since the foundation's establishment, over £30,000 have been raised. All of this is for the sake of Molly's goals: positivity, confidence, and change. Transforming the most horrific events into rays of light for the whole world. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Until next time, friends.